No, definitely. But I think that I don't know, man. Like that this whole martial arts thing, I think it's pretty crazy sometimes, especially
Yeah,
when you have all of these people trying to put themselves down as like we were talking about
yeah.
earlier, master, grandmaster, and I don't know, man. I
I
think that
mean, in
it's
that
cool.
case, whatever path they would have chosen in life, like working in a company or whatever, regardless of the martial arts, they would have also tried to, like, they would have fallen in that same behavior where they need to feel above everyone else, or it's just insecurity or something. It's just that in martial arts, it's easier to exploit that because
No, yeah.
it's
Not a lot of
yeah,
people know,
yeah.
and not
There's
a
I've
lot of people are
noticed
aware.
like in the U.S. especially, in like Japanese styles to get a red belt, it's like nearly impossible feat. There's very few very old masters who get like in karate get a red belt. But
Well,
in
then
the US,
why do so many white people have them here?
yes, in the US, I watch. There's like thousands of tendan with the red belt. It's like this is
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous.
yeah, and
Absolutely
they make videos.
ridiculous.
They make videos on YouTube too.
Yeah.
I've seen them,
In
and they
Japan, you
all.
it's like there you can count them with the fingers of one hand, like the guys with the red belt. You go to the West, and it's full of the guys with red belts. It's insane.
And every striking technique is like meant to hit a specific nerve.
Yeah,
It's, it's crazy. No, yeah, it's funny. I recently saw a video like that too. And I mean, again, red belt, for example, in Taekwondo or in
yeah.
karate, they're before the black belt. So
Yeah.
that whole thing to me was kind of strange. I didn't really know how that was supposed to work. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. It's pretty wild. I think that like you had mentioned the topic of cross training, right?
Hmm.
And I've noticed with when you learn more than one style, like if you try, if you work hard, if you struggle, if you humble yourself, like a lot of these skills transition over.
Yeah.
I've trained in kickboxing. There was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym pretty close to my house that moved. I paid a 1 year membership. I was there every day, getting my ass kicked, throwing up after practice. Like waking up like all red from here from being choked out. But the training, the techniques, a lot of those skills, they all kind of translate in a
Yeah.
weird way. And in karate too, and taekwondo takes some things from karate as well, and there's a lot of similarities. I understand the notion of being really really good at one style and then going to train in another style. Of course it makes sense, but I don't think there's anything inherently evil, like, oh, this guy did karate first and then he did taekwondo, or this guy did taekwondo and then he went to another gym. Like that should be encouraged in a way.
Yeah. Actually,
Whatever. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, no, both my karate teacher and my taekwondo teacher encourage that. I've practiced other martial arts, but like those are the teachers I have the most like interaction with. They always encourage that. Like pretty much everyone who practiced taekwondo with me has done something else. The
No,
guy
yeah, and
who went for the first dan belt test with me, we're still friends. He owns a fish shop right like across my street, so I see him all the time, and he's still training. Anyway, he's practiced MMA, kickboxing, hapkido. I think he's like, I don't know if he's a first dan in hapkido now. He did aikido, a bunch of shit. Me too. I've practiced lots of things. All of that like helps you grow as a martial
yeah,
artist.
no, yeah, definitely, and
Also, okay, the thing. Sorry that I interrupt you, but this
no,
is
no, no,
one
no,
thing. The thing about okay, this is a big problem with martial arts in general. Like people invest so much time and effort into their practice of said whatever martial art, right? Be it taekwondo or whatever. They put so much time and effort into it that they deluded themselves to think that their style is the ultimate style and it's perfect. There's no perfect style. All styles have some problem. Now, when you start cross training, you see the things where you were deficient and you need to improve upon.
yeah,
It happened to me
yeah.
from taekwondo to karate. I realized two things. My punching was shit, and I didn't know how to do
Oh
low
yeah,
kicks or knees. And I learned how to do all these things with karate. And then when I went to kickboxing, I realized I didn't know how to box properly. It's not the same to punch without gloves and to the body. Then I used to get my face punched in like for 6 months. I got every day punched to the face until I learned how to like properly box.
yeah. Or how naturally when you start to kickbox, they try to tell you how to position your hands, and you have it for a little bit, but as you kind of start to feel stress, your hands they go down to the
Yeah,
traditional to
yeah,
what you're used to. So I
exactly.
mean, but at the same time, like at least your hands are up. You're making the effort,
Yeah.
you know.
I
I think that
actually
in a
no,
oh, go
just
ahead.
an anecdote. I actually had to sign. I signed up and I practiced just boxing for like 4 months because I needed to improve that. I was tired of getting my face punched in, and
No,
it really
yeah, man.
changed.
But at the same time, like there are other aspects where you excel that others don't,
Yeah,
right? I mean, in the
yeah,
kicking, when you mix the punching and the
yeah,
kicking, I don't really hear a lot of enthusiasts, heavy martial arts enthusiasts anymore. Even online, I don't see them very often, apart from the occasional person that'll say, "Oh, no, all you have to do is practice karate because karate is the only one that takes every situation into account." And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, where those people, they a lot of times they don't have videos, or they don't have profile pics, they don't have anything. It's just a random fucking idiot commenting.
hmm
But the cross training, I mean, we it's kind of part of what you do. I remember when I was younger, I wasn't that young. I was like 15 or 16. We would cross train with this Kempo karate club that's one city over. And so we did it a few times where they would come over and then we went over. And so it was just our black belts. I was like 15 or 16 maybe. We went over there, we sparred, they came over here. We did it for a few months and it was cool. And towards the end, they even said, we can teach you guys some joint locks, some other things. And we thought, oh, yeah, hell yeah, like, because you don't know, like, in our academy, we never really emphasized on that. Or when I was really young, and my dad had a bigger team of black belts. They had a school come over that trained different styles, and they had one of our black belts spar against a capoeira black belt.
hmm
And all that my dad asked, he said, "Hey, we'll do it. My guy will spar him. Just have him put on a chest gear and a helmet." And the guy was like, "No, no, no, like come on, I'm just gonna flow." And he said, "No, please, just you can do all the crazy shit you want to do. Just make your guy wear a chest gear and a helmet. If you don't want to wear the pads, you don't have to wear the pads." And so I think from my dad's perspective too, he wanted his guy to be able to kick,
yeah.
because you don't know how hard he can fucking kick. And this guy's
Mm.
swinging his foot around. And it was awesome. It was fun to watch, the whole concept of learning things. And then this guy, his name was Pedro, our black belt. He started kind of trying to do spinning wheel kicks like that in his sparring too, just because, I mean, it's part of what you do. The whole notion that one style has all of the answers, I feel like that was disproven a long time
Yeah,
ago,
but the thing is,
you know?
you can go to the other extreme. Like some guys who think cross training is, or like some guys who just practice MMA from scratch, right? MMA as if it was a style, where they
Yeah.
barely see the surface of a technique and they learn. They're like a duck. A duck can swim, it can run, it can fly, but it can't do any of those things properly. He can just barely do it. I don't know if you've ever heard that analogy.
No,
Okay,
but
so
I'm gonna use it.
the
I'm
average
gonna use it.
MMA fighter to me is like a duck. He does a little bit of everything, but can't do anything specifically, particularly well. Like you've got
Yeah.
exceptions. Now, for me, cross training means this: I practice, I don't know, a year of something, and then a year of another thing, like concentrated, like training where you actually learn to develop the skill like properly.
Yeah.
I've always like I haven't done anything. I think the only thing that I've done for a very short time was judo because I was traveling, and while I travel, I like practiced at some dojos. Everything else I've practiced, I've done it for at least a year. Like capoeira, I think was the one I did the least. Was no, yeah, maybe capoeira I did, I don't know, a year and a half or something. And kudo I did maybe for 6 months because the teacher left. But it's always been at least 6 months or more. Otherwise, you don't really get to absorb anything. It's like when
Yeah.
you travel, you don't experience a culture by going around taking photographs and then hopping on a bus. You should
Yeah.
stay there and like interact with people for a few months.
No,
That's what
yeah,
I think. Yeah.
definitely. And
That's why
I,
I
I
think
also
I
think
think MMA. Sorry, just so I can.
no, 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 go ahead.
I think the idea of training MMA is fine, but this is the thing. I think you should go train MMA when you already have a technical base. Then you can go to MMA and use it as a laboratory to spar and try stuff out. But to learn, I would say, okay, learn how to strike, learn boxing, and then you want to grapple, go and learn, like, go to a school of a grappling style and learn grappling. Don't learn all of this shit out of the blue in MMA because you're going to get a little bit of this and that, but that's what I
No,
think.
and there's a like I think it's really interesting because I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think that MMA as a whole, the people that turn out to be the most successful are the ones that have some sort of fundamental background training, whether it be boxing, wrestling, jujitsu, and they obviously add the other stuff, unless they're just some sort of freak athlete. right? You see a little bit of that in the UFC. But I've always argued that MMA as a whole, or at least in the context of the UFC, is still relatively young as a sport.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
because a lot of times also what you see is MMA gyms opening in your surrounding areas. I'm sure you've seen them over there. Maybe not, but over here there's a lot. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, dude, and you don't know the trainer, you don't know his credentials. The guy might have learned one style and then just added everything else. And maybe they hire a wrestling coach or a jiu-jitsu coach. Maybe they don't. And I think that we're MMA as a whole is still kind of moving past, barely moving past that
Mhm.
stage, where the legitimate schools are the ones that stay in business. The
Yeah.
legitimate camps are the ones that stay open. And I think that a lot of those camps, they have exactly what you said. They have a striking coach, a grappling coach, a boxing coach that's different from the striking coach. I mean, they have different coaches which teach different fundamentals. But I think for a long period of time, I mean, you can here you could like 10 years ago, you could open up an MMA gym if you took like a 2-hour course. They were
Yeah.
like offering that everywhere, and they said you want to be a certified MMA coach. That's exactly how they had it. My dad got a certificate in the mail. So they were obviously sending it to all of these martial arts instructors saying, hey, you want to be a certified MMA coach? Come take this 2-hour course, pay a fee. I don't know how much the fee was, and you'll be certified to teach MMA. And so I feel like that was really dangerous. And you saw a huge boom, because you don't know what the fucking guy knows. I mean,
Yeah.
if you go to a taekwondo or a hapkido or a jiu-jitsu, you're under the notion, we go back to that Taylor Kelly example,
Mhm.
you're under the idea that the person is an expert because you're giving them your money.
Mhm.
Not only are you giving them your money, you're giving them a lot of times your children or yourself. You're putting yourself under their tutelage just to find out that the guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. No, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
seriously,
true.
man.
It's true. I know. I know. I'm just laughing because it's Taylor Kelly exactly. But I've noticed a lot. Like it happens everywhere, right? Let's say some guy is a black belt in taekwondo, and then he opens his school and he adds like MMA and kickboxing. Just because you know taekwondo does not mean you know kickboxing, much less MMA.
No,
It's like bullshit.
no,
They're
yeah,
different
it's hard.
things.
It's hard because you wanna believe, right? Like for me, transitioning from taekwondo to kickboxing training, it was an eye opener because, and the biggest thing takeaway was my guard.
Mhm.
I realized like, oh crap, I'm used to having my guard here, sometimes even here to block
Mhm.
kicks and lean back.
Mhm.
The stances, the head movement is different. And one of the first coaches that I worked with, he said, hey, I'm seeing a lot of that taekwondo stuff. Right now, let's just focus on that in terms of the footwork.
Mhm.
And to me, I didn't know what taekwondo footwork was. To me, it was just footwork. This is just how I did it. And so holding the mitts, working on the bag, I felt very confident in what I was doing because I was making it work for me. And then as soon as they put a person in front of me, another coach to just kind of help me, I realized like, dude, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And
Yeah.
and the guy's even telling me, all right, now you do it to me. And the guy's not even blocking my punches. He's just kind of messing with me. So you realize that there are levels. I mean, in the martial arts context too, right? There are levels to everything that we do. And I know that kickboxing for me, it felt like the natural transition.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I did taekwondo my whole life. I have a background in this. The next transition is to add the face punches. But it's not just the face punches. There's an entirely new world
Yeah. Yeah.
that becomes available to you. And so, yeah, I think it's kind of irresponsible to just kind of be like, all right, I'm going to open this to cater to the adult
Yeah.
classes. I,
I was seeing yesterday. Okay, I remember seeing like a long time ago. I'm in a bunch of groups in Facebook of martial arts and whatnot, which I occasionally check. They upload videos and stuff. And some guy, I don't remember the name now. It was like Superhuman Fitness or something, some dumb name. Like I think it's Superhuman Fitness and Martial Arts.
it's not that guy we were talking about.
No, no, no. But it's a dumb name, right? So
Yeah.
this guy, I remember seeing some video he posted once where the guy was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. I don't know if he's a black belt, but he practices Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And he opened a school where he teaches MMA and all sorts of stuff, kickboxing. But yeah, you can't hear me?
Oh, I think we just kind of got a.
Ah, okay, okay. So the guy is a jiu-jitsu guy who opened a school where he teaches MMA and kickboxing, all sorts of stuff. But he doesn't know anything about striking. He just knows jiu-jitsu. And you can tell because, in jiu-jitsu and grappling, you have these exercises where you're blindfolded and you grapple without seeing because you want to get the sensation of like the other guy's
No,
body.
yeah.
The guy was trying to teach striking like that, and I left a comment and told him, "This is ridiculous. You cannot do striking blindfolded like you're a ninja or something. It doesn't work that way. You need to see what you're looking like. You need to react with your eyes, with your vision to what's coming." And the guy, no,
Yeah.
this works. We do it in grappling. After that video was removed. Anyway,
You know,
well, yeah, this guy, this superhuman blah 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 thing. You could see him like doing. Started watching his videos, and then I saw like his actual sparring, and when they throw punches at him or something, he would go like this. When you're scared of getting hit. It was absolutely clear he had no fucking clue what striking is. But this guy thought that because he knows some jiu-jitsu, he's automatically qualified to teaching kickboxing and MMA, which is not. Anyway,
no, of
recently,
course.
just as a side anecdote on that, recently that I always thought that was like, these guys are incompetent. Like people shouldn't be giving them money. Recently, I saw in one of those groups that that guy got arrested for having sex with an underage student or something. It's like the guy looked like a
Like,
creep and an idiot. Okay, now it's confirmed.
there's levels to that. Yeah, it's fucking lunatics, man.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, like
terrible.
I understand too that maybe if you give them the benefit of the doubt, there is this desire to maybe pressure test what they can do and see how far they can take it. I think that's fine, but I don't know, man. Like I would never spar blind. I've never sparred blindfolded in my life.
It's ridiculous. It's pointless and
And
ridiculous. That's like
yeah,
American Ninja kind of like fantasy thing, It makes
no,
no
yeah,
sense.
like
It's like driving blindfolded. You don't drive blindfolded. You need to see what you're doing.
occasionally I'll spar whenever I'm able to go to my dad's gym. I'll spar, and as a warm up or just to kind of focus on drills, we do it without the helmet and without the chest guard. But everybody always wears everything else just as a warm up to kind of get in there, throw some techniques, sweat a little, warm up well. And the only person that I'll ever spar, and I've mentioned this a lot because a lot of people, they don't like it. The only person that I'll actually spar well without any of this protective gear is my brother. Because my brother and I, we've trained together since we were kids. We understand each other well. We can hit each other without hurting each other.
Yeah.
My brother can kick me in the face without hurting me, and I won't get upset. And I'll hit him, and he won't get upset. But that's like, we hardly ever do that because at the same time, like, why put yourself in a risky situation, So the whole context of doing it blindfolded, I don't understand what the like,
the guy thought he was being clever or innovative, I think, but it was just stupid. And so many people criticized that he removed the video.
Oh, cool.
That shows you that it's people who have, like, these guys who teach this nonsense, they have no idea what they're doing.
No, yeah, the last thing you want to see is people going, hey, man, good job.
Yeah.
I'm going to try. Or the one that I see a lot, I'm going to try this with my students. And I go, oh,
yeah.
shit.
It's because a lot of people don't. There's actually a lot of instructors who are incompetent, and it's not their fault because they came from a bad school. They learned a bunch of nonsense, and then they think that's the real deal. And they think they're badasses. So.
No, and it kind of leads you to appreciate the people more that sometimes they're put in a situation where they have to be the instructor, the teacher, and they continue to train and learn. Like they don't stand above everybody trying to be in charge. I've heard a lot of stories too where there was actually a really messed up story where these two black belts, they came to train with us when I was still a kid. I was like 15, and they came from a traditional, I don't even remember what the martial art was, but they said, we're black belts, we're black belts. Their parents, obviously, because they were young, they were my age. Maybe they were a year younger than me. And so my dad said, okay, we don't wear those, because they came in all black uniforms with patches and stuff. And growing up, we always wore only white. Only white. Very recently, you see, at least in Taekwondo, you see more and more instructors that adopt maybe like a different color uniform. Yeah. But that's not very common. I mean, you see it, but it's not a big deal.
So these guys they were also from Taekwondo, right?
No, so they were from a different martial art.
Maybe Kempo. Kempo uses the black gi.
Yeah, but they came, their parents came saying, we're black belts, my kids are black belts. They can do this, whatever this is. They want to do it as black belts. And so my dad said, all right, cool, let's see how they do. We'll throw them in. They signed the waiver, and they got beat up pretty bad. And they joined the class. They started all over from
Of
beginners.
course, if I go, or it's like, okay,
No,
I'm a
yeah.
doctor, I'm going to study engineering, but I want to automatically be considered an engineer because I'm already a doctor. It does. They're two different things. It has nothing to do one thing with the other one.
No, yeah, and like I said, I think it was pretty cool that my dad said, "All right, you guys want to try? Sure, come. Wear your
Hmm.
black belts, wear whatever you want." After a few classes, they were like, "No, okay." They started the program from the beginning. They ended up getting their black belts years
Hmm.
later with us. But as we got to know them, and they were very involved in competition, they did everything. They weren't related, but they both left their academy because a young lady, uh, she lost her life. She was attacked by her stepfather,
Wow.
and she lost her life. And one of the issues that the parents who brought the boys over had was that for the past year or so, the instructor would just sit in his office, and he would be having teenage purple and blue belts giving the classes.
Yeah, that's no.
These older, I'm pretty sure they probably weren't even kids. I mean, my friends, they were kids at the time, so these guys, they were probably older, but the instructor wasn't teaching. So I guess that the concept that they had was, well, maybe if she was properly trained, maybe,
Yeah,
you
but
never know.
definitely,
It
I've
was
never.
horrible to hear.
That's typical McDojo thing, where the instructor doesn't do shit. He just has his student. That's bullshit. I'm paying you
Yeah,
to teach me, not to have like someone else.
exactly. So the I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy because that's how these guys came over, and then when you find out about them, you find out, you find all these that there's just some fucked up
Yeah.
people out there.